Welcome to episode number 34 of Profit or Loss, the series where I buy broken electronic items from eBay, attempt to repair them and sell them for a profit, or in most cases, especially recently, a loss. Let me explain. These big old red numbers here are my last 6 episodes in the series, dating back to episode number 28. This is where it went all downhill. Those 6 episodes give me a total sum average of minus £518.92p. Our current total profit in total over the course of these 34 episodes is £116.61p. This doesn't include all the salvageable bits from the faulty items that I've purchased and is purely calculated on whether I can fix the item and sell it for a profit or not. Shall we have a look at what we have for today's video? It's an Xbox One S that I purchased for a total of £30. This is a digital version, and what that means is that we don't have the disk drive here. It only plays digital games. These come with a 1TB hard drive. This one specifically apparently has no power. In the last couple of episodes, my Xbox One S collection that I've purchased from eBay hasn't been that great. They've been beep on, beep off, and the fixes haven't been fantastic. Our luck's going to change for this one though. I have to be positive, otherwise I'll cry. Condition, looking okay. Ports at the back all seem to be fine. It doesn't look like it's been opened, which gives me some hope, but in a good enough condition that if I do manage to fix it, I'll just be able to put straight on eBay and hopefully sell for a bit of a profit. Let's plug the power in. What happens? Do we get a light on the front? We do. And it turns off. You've got to be kidding me. Oh no. It's another beep on, beep off. The description on eBay states for spares and repairs does not power on. So I've purchased it thinking that it just doesn't power on completely, which has a much higher success rate of being able to repair over a beep on, beep off. Nevertheless, I'm going to take it apart and see what's going on. Before we do that, a message from our sponsor today, PCB Way. PCB Way are PCB specialists. From creating your own personal PCB with various sizes, different colors, and complete customization to sharing a project that you've created, PCB Way has it all. They're also launching their 6th annual project design contest where you can enter right now up until the 15th of January for your chance to win some amazing prizes. Check them out using the link in the description down below. We do seem to have a little friend with us today. Here's our 1TB drive. I'm actually just going to try a different hard drive because this light does stay on for about 2 or 3 seconds. Let's see what happens. Do we get a bit of an easy fix today? Because that is what we are in severe need of. Pushing the power button, here we go. The light turns on and it goes off. It's not an instant beep on, beep off. As you can see, the fan attempts to spin and it turns off. So it's not the drive. Let's get the rest of this out of the chassis. Straight off the bat, because of how long this is actually taking, I'm thinking it's going to be something along the lines of an NCP power management IC. If it was a straight beep on, beep off, I'd say we were pretty screwed. But again, I have to have faith in this video. I have to. Let's do some measuring quick. We are in DC voltage, meter on ground. Do we have a solid 12 volts? We do indeed. We have the solid 12V. Do we have the 1.8? We do. Do we have the 1.1? We do. Do we have the 3.3? We do. And do we have the 5? We do. Okay, so we have all of our voltage rails. If I go to power on, do we have the Southbridge 1.1? Looks like we do. You see that? Nice and healthy. Okay, what about the 1.8? Okay, Southbridge seems to also be okay. I actually learned something from the last time that I looked at a beep on, beep off. We put this in resistance mode. What resistance do we have on this side of the board where we have these MOSFETs? We have about 8 or 9 ohms. So we don't have a short to ground on the 12 volt power rail on this side. So that kind of usually indicates from what people have told me that we don't have a shorted APU because it's not shorted to ground. 3 ohms there. What do we have on these caps up here? We should see around about 40 to 50 ohms. 58 there, 58 there. Okay. I'm just checking quickly inside the ports to ensure we don't have any shorts. That rhymed really well, didn't it? No, nothing. What do we read in resistance mode on the actual retime IC? We got 0.8K. Could be a reason why it's not turning on. Then again, I've seen small readings like this on Xbox One S's, so I don't know if it's just the Xbox One X that should display between 4 to 5K, and perhaps the TDP158 is what should show 4 to 5. Let's go under the scope and have a bit of a mooch around. I've been making comparisons against another board that I have, and there isn't any difference anywhere. I feel like I maybe just have a severe gap in my knowledge and understanding of how these boards work. Either that, or I'm just getting increasingly unlucky with Xbox One S consoles that beep on, beep off. I just think a massive sort of stay clear of them, in my personal experience. There's one thing I can find, and I'll take you over to the thermal cam to show you what that is. I'm going to inject 12 volts onto the board. Now, it takes a couple seconds, but watch one area of the APU. You see that? It shouldn't be getting that hot in one specific area. The APU is designed to get hot, but it should be more of an even spread. Watch again. Can you see? It's like there, right there. It seems to be one specific area on the APU which is getting ridiculously hot, quicker than what the rest is. If we look at an overview of the board and I inject, we can see that the south bridge, as well as a few other little caps, for example, the ceramic caps down here, are getting hot, which they should do. But I'm pretty sure this part on the APU should not be getting hot, right in the corner over here. I've checked the other side of the board as well, and none of the caps on that side are getting hot, no components, nothing. So again, I think we have an APU issue with this Xbox. I know I said about the power rail, the 12 volt rail just over here, and if I've got like a low resistance but not a short to ground on here, the APU should be okay, but I don't know, something's getting ridiculously hot on the APU over here. I can't see any cracks around the APU, nothing like that to indicate that it's damaged, but I'm just going to put this one away. I've tested the hard drive is showing as good. I'll be able to recoup some money in that regards, and we just accrue another Xbox One S motherboard. Let's move on to item number 2. This could be good profit. I really hope. As you can see from maybe the little sneak peek here, we have a faulty PlayStation 5 that I paid a total of £200 for. Now again, pretty good condition on the PlayStation 5. I've not worked on one on JDT for a few weeks now, but I have more success rates in the beep on beep offs of a PS5 than I do on an Xbox One S, which is a good problem to have. This one turns on and turns off. So let's see what the situation is. Put the power in. I am just going to plug in the HDMI as well. Turn down the brightness on the camera so we can see what's going on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What happens? What symptoms do we get PS5? Talk to me. So we get a beep and nothing. Beep, nothing. No LED lights here. Beep, nothing. Okay, so it doesn't beep and then I don't hear any more beeps the more I push the power button. It is continuously beeping every 3-4 seconds when I press it. Okay. Okay, eject button is constant. So there is some sort of power going through this console. That's an interesting one. I don't think I've had a console yet that's done that, a PS5 that is, where you press the power button and you constantly get the 3 beeps. I've had it before where you press it, you get the 3 beeps, and then you don't hear anything until you unplug the power supply and put it back in. So this is an interesting one. Let's take it apart. Ooh, okay, I am seeing signs of it being opened before. This warranty sticker's definitely been taken off. Not the best of starts. This sticker is actually quite hard to take off, so I wonder if they have actually taken this any further. Oh no, they have by the looks of it, because this sticker over here has been ripped, so they've taken out the antenna cables. All right, there's a lot of fingerprints on this console as well. Look at that. Whoa, come on PS5 gods, give me some luck. Has to happen. We have to turn this profit round somehow. First looks, what do we have? Oh lord, the HDMI. What? I'll have to get closer to that in a second. Take the clamp off, get the board out, clean up the liquid metal. Unfortunately, it feels like they've taken this off because it's extremely loose and they've just stuck it back down. I hope that's not the case. Now, my first protocol is I've not checked anything. I've literally just dragged the scope over. If I know that somebody's worked on one of these before, usually my first thing to check is if they've spilt any liquid metal anywhere, especially because that could cause the symptoms that we have now if there's a short on one of the rails. But just to make sure, what do we have there? Is that liquid metal? That looks like it. Granted, won't be enough to cause issues, but oh, I don't know if it was. Was it? Is it on there? Maybe it wasn't. Continue checking around the APU specifically. I think we're all good from a liquid metal perspective, to be honest. It doesn't look like any spilled over. We have a few hairs. Let's check out this HDMI port. Okay. HDMI port. Are you attached? You might be, to be fair. Potentially. Let's give these a bit of a wiggle, shall we? Do you know what? It's not... It doesn't look like the best job because I don't know what flux they've used. It almost looks like it's rusted. But they're all touching where they need to be touching, and they all seem quite strong, so fair play to them. There is obviously solder missing from this ground leg down here and potentially the one in front of that. This side has solder going through the hole, so that doesn't look too bad. It's hugging those legs. And we have both of the caps. We have the one directly underneath the port, and we have the other cap that is just a bit further down. We have the diode and we have the resistor. So you can check the back of the board on that same circuit and just make sure we're not missing any components here, which we are, by the way. I don't know if that's enough to cause a beep on beep off though, because is this a, oh no, it's a diode that goes here, right? Trying to get it so there's no reflections. Yeah, it's definitely a diode that goes there. That cap, you see that cap there? That is definitely meant to be there, this one. But there's meant to be a diode that goes here. Quickly show you on a working board there, this diode here. Don't know if that's going to be enough to not make it turn on though, you know? I don't know if it will be, but I'm going to bear it in mind, definitely. None of these ports have been changed, have they? No. Just having a quick look on the board itself with my eyes rather than being under the scope. I'm going to start probing around and see if I can find any shorts on the board, and I will be back with you shortly. See what I've done there, shortly. I'm going to try and explain this as best I can. I can't find any shorts on the board, but I think I may have found what the issue is. This is our board that we're currently working on, and this is actually a working board. It just has a really loud buzzing noise on the 12-volt line. We're going to do some measurements. We're just going to have the meter in ohms mode, resistance, and I'm just going to measure on the good board where we have the RAM, where the RAM's meant to be. So we seem to get around about 39. This was jumping up to about 42, which I believe is an accurate representation of what it should be. There we go, 42 to 45. But you can see it's pretty stable. There's not a massive jump in any of the numbers. It's around about 42. It maybe goes up and down by a couple of ohms. If I do the same thing on the same location on the board we're working on, here we go, I've put it on now, you'll see that we have a reading of 24 ohms. This was previously bouncing up to around about 400-500 ohms and back down, up and down. I don't know again whether that was my multimeter or not, but you can see that 25 ohms isn't the reading that we need. They are both a 010 board, so they should be almost identical in terms of reading. So I think our problem actually lies with the RAM on the board we're currently working on. If I test on the diode that we seem to be missing on the board we're currently working on, we get a voltage drop of 0.56, and if I do that on the exact same place on this one, we get 0.57. So I don't think there's actually anything wrong with the HDMI circuit at the moment that's causing this board to not turn on. I do genuinely think it's RAM. That being said, I actually bought a stencil for RAM and I got it recently, so I should be able to hopefully reball some RAM and see if we can work out which stick is the faulty one. I don't know if when we remove the sticks, if we get the right stick off, whether the ohm reading will go back up to 42 ohms or so. I'm not too sure. Or if we have no RAM on the board, does it go up to 42? This is also a complete shot at the dark, and I have no idea if what I'm saying is correct. Nonetheless, A, it's good practice, as I've not actually done something like this yet with a PS5, and B, I have nothing else to go by. I think the RAM that we have on this board is Samsung, which it is, which supposedly is the better of the two different types of RAM modules that they use for the PlayStations. And the one that I have in stock, which I pulled from a donor, is not Samsung. So I don't know if that's going to cause implications or not. I'm probably just going to montage through this because I'm going to have to take the RAM off and then test on the line to see if we shoot back up to the 42 ohms where we are. Alright, the first two have actually been taken off. I just want to see if that's made a difference in any way, shape or form. Thinking about it as well, because this is Samsung RAM, I don't want to mix it with not Samsung. So I'm probably going to have to pull Samsung RAM from another board. What reading do we get? 13 ohms now. Maybe the board is still relatively hot, which is why it's such a low reading. Just measuring. Okay, measuring again. Yeah, we're still around about that 20 or so, 24, 23. Okay, so we continue pulling. Okay, another two sticks have been removed. Let's check and see. Do we get any difference in reading? So we're not looking for around about the 20, which is, yeah, still 27. Still pretty low. Let's remove the last four. Okay, I've removed all but one sticker RAM, because why not? just for testing purposes. Okay, there we go. We get around about 40 now. All right, so it's one of these. It was one of these three. So in theory, I could use the same RAM that I've laid out here and just, for the time being, not put these three back and maybe swap those three for known good RAM that I have on another board. So it looks like we were right then. We got one stick on. What do we measure? This is my multimeter playing up, by the way. Yeah, around about 52 here, I think. 50. And if I measure on the actual RAM stick itself, so there is a cap next to it. Yeah, there we go, 53. So I better work on my reballing skills. All I'm doing in this process is as follows, and I'm going to have to do this with 4 of the ones that I took off. We are simply just adding flux. I'm not going to talk you through every single one. I'm just going to show you one and then do the other 3 that I have to do. So I'm going to apply some leaded solder on the end of my iron tip and simply run that over all of the pads. There we go, just like that. And over here as well. Make sure we get a good contact with them all. Nice. Come in with our wick and simply wick away the solder we have on the pads. I did try and show you this a couple of seconds ago, but I wasn't recording. Haha! So this is actually my second one. Exactly the same with this side as well. You can be a bit more vigorous with the ICs and chips than you can on the actual board. And then a nice quick clean with a cotton swab. No IPA on it, just because the chip's are already pretty toasty. So it keeps that flux nice and fresh. And there we go. So we can do that with the others as well. And I'll be back with you in a second. Alright, now that that's done for all of them, this is going to probably be the trickier part, I would say. That bit does look a little bit oxidized up there, doesn't it? Wow. Let's unoxidize that. Supposedly these 4 weren't causing issues, so shouldn't be an issue, shouldn't be a problem. Now, I don't think the best way to do this, because I'm not a professional reballer, but I'm thinking I'll just go ahead and splurge the paste on here and then lift off this. And I should be able to just simply reball, right? That's how it goes. How's that? And then if we just slowly lift up. I don't know if it's going to work. I'll try it. Only because of how close everything is together. Maybe I need to put a layer of flux on before I do that. I need to increase it a little bit. Yeah, see, that's a good lesson to learn, you know. I knew that might be the case. Okay, IC's clear again. I've put temperature down to 250, so let's see how this does. Hopefully that doesn't bend the stencil itself, you see. Who knows? Not enough to melt the solder, 250. It's not happening. And if I go 300, it's just going to mess up the template. I'm pushing very hard down on it, but it's just not making a difference because it's bowed-in. And then that happens. Look at that. Okay, so I've just successfully done one. I had like a practice run, so I'm going to try it now again. And I found that the easiest way for me is to just put the balls on with the stencil, so a little bit of flux. Get that flux all on there. Don't want that thick coating like you see at the top, just a thin layer. Now the methodology here was probably wrong what I'd done, but it worked. So I'm going to do it again. And then people can tell me off if they need to in the comments. Going to get the stencil in line. And just flood the area with balls. Grab my tweezers. Cannot have flux on them at this point, because otherwise it pulls all the balls away. And then just do this. And then just put balls where you need to put balls. Straighten the stencil a little bit, because that is a bit bodge. There we go. As I said, can be a bit fiddly, but looks alright. There we go. So every single one looks filled, and then slowly just lift up on the template. Quite a few missing here. What? How's that happened? Flux on the template, I guess. Thought I cleaned it well enough, but clearly not. My left hand is a lot shakier, by the way, because I'm not resting it on the table. Because of the angle I'm trying to do everything at. But that looks okay. Just a second ago, the first RAM I did, I maybe had like 3 pads that didn't have any balls on, so I need to visit why that didn't happen this time around, but I think it's because it was still, the template was a little bit fluxy, you see. Should be okay. All right, let's go. Okay, sweet. Now flux, go again. There it is. Nice. Clear all the flux off, and there we have it. Reballed RAM. Nice. Just have to do that now another 5 times. The RAM is reballed. Now what I need to do is go over to the board and just prep all of the pads. I've already applied leaded solder to most of them, so we're just going to go over them very, very gently. Just going very, very gently here. I don't want to take off any of the conformal coating. And again, this is just going to be a rinse and repeat process over the 7 that I have to replace. There we go. Rinse and repeat. Alright, I think I'm all good. Now, arguably, potentially, for me at least, the easiest part, which is to put the RAM onto the board. Pin 1 is located down the bottom right, you see with the arrow. There we go, that is in place. Right, let's do this. Just sat in place, good. Saw it just shift. This board is about to be very fluxy. There we go. Little nudge, nice. Okay, 100 ohms, 45, there we go, 45, 46, 50. I think again, board's just a little bit too hot. 27.8, 27.9, 30, 40. Okay, I think there's a little bit of temperature in the board. Okay, let's proceed. I'm also very tempted to just go ahead and put all the RAM on, because all the RAM that I've accrued is taken from a board that I don't think had RAM issues, and I've used all of those instead of partly what we had here. I'm going to be a bit cheeky and just replace these ones as well. Then we'll come and measure. There we go. Okay, I'm going to wait for the board to cool down, and we're just going to test that line to ensure that we still don't have the low 20s in resistance mode. Okay, let's measure. What do we get? It's all over the place. Why is it all over the place? Honestly, I've got such a bad feeling that it's my my multimeter. I'll try and measure on the RAM cap itself. There we go, 3940 on the actual RAM cap, 52. And it's just going, I don't know. Look, none of the RAM that I'm installing, I've got 3 more RAM ICs to install. None of this was from the board. It was from another board, which supposedly had a good RAM rail. But again, I don't know. I could be doing all of this for no reason, but it's practice. So I'm going to install the remaining 3 and we'll go from there. All right, all of that actually went better than I thought. Once I got the process down to actually reballing the RAM ICs, it was all pretty smooth. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to take off the HDMI port because I want to, and I obviously need to replace the diode, etc. And I'm going to be installing my own port, so I'll quickly go through that and then we'll give it a test. Just going to blast this port quickly into the next universe. Give this whole area a quick clean as well. There it goes. Look at this solder. It's all wrinkly. Maybe we need to replace the diode as well. Nice. Whilst the board is nice and hot. Fresh flux here. Wicking away this solder. There we go. And now a quick clean. Some nice fresh flux. Fill up the ground holes. And tin. Another quick clean. I need all that flux. Going to tin these up as well because doesn't look like much solder got through to the back here. Just put a little amount here. And then equally we just need to tin that little area. This still has people's hair on it, so I'm going to get rid of that. I don't know how or why there is hair here. There we go, looks a bit better. Hey, let's get this diode swapped over. Let's get you stuck on and then we'll flow you into place. Just like that. Nice one. And back to the port. A little bit of flux just in our key areas. Not too much. No need. Just yet anyways. Back and forth on the heat. Lovely jubbly. Port on. Hopefully that solder's going to push you on the legs. I can see it wanting to. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely come through on the legs. Good. Shuffle you about a bit. Even if that's not come all the way through on the legs, it's still part way. We're still just shuffling. Now we're going to give it a bit of a jig forward. Probably about there. Go for the hold down. And come off heat. Definitely looks soldered, that port, to all of the pads. But again, as you know, I do like to be a little bit thorough when it comes to this. And I do just like to go over every pin to ensure that it's definitely solid. At the risk, you know, of messing it up. Because that's what I'm like. Just putting the tiniest bit of solder on my iron. Let the flux do the work. There we go. Okay, good. Everyone isn't perfect. Perfect would be the solder going over every single pin, but I'm going to take it, to be honest, because I might have bigger fish to fry. I just kind of want to get this port on so I can test. The solder's not come all the way up to hug the ground legs on this one here, but you can see that the solder is in the hole. So it will be a strong port, because if you didn't know, cleaning it gives you good luck. That's how I view it. I'm really nervous about this. It was probably the first fix in a while that I've been nervous about because of the complexity. So I really hope it works. If not, it's another day in the office and it's good experience for the reballing the RAM, etc. Just make sure we have no bridges. I don't think we do. No, we don't. Perfect. Those pins look really, really good. One on the end is just flux. I can confirm. by sticking my tweezers down there and getting rid. There we go. Look at that. We obviously have the diode on the back now as well. Also, those ground legs are looking good. Moment of truth then, hey? Let's go. All right, I have placed the fan in. I've put the metal housing back on just to try and keep it as cool as possible. There is a tiny bit of liquid metal that was on the heatsink originally. I've put the disk drive back. I've put the fan back. I've literally put everything back together just with no screws at all, so it's nice and easy for me to take apart if I need to. I really hope this works. Could do with a little bit of luck, if I'm honest with you. I know I kind of have created my own luck, but power's in. Here we go. Do we get a fan spin or anything? Let's turn down the brightness. This has taken me hours. 3, 2, 1. Same thing. The disk drive still beeps 3 times, and I still get a power button beep. Nothing has changed, essentially. Which, in a way, is really good because it means that I haven't made the problem worse and now we have, like, no power at all. So I think all the RAM, then, must be fine. Let's check that reading at the RAM spot again and see. What we don't want is that low 20s. Low 20s, again. So we have the same issue with the RAM, but it doesn't make sense because it's all RAM from another board that had an absolutely fine reading on the RAM rail, except for the one piece which is here. But when all of them were removed, this piece was fine. It was up to the 40s and 50s. It makes no sense. Obviously, there is a possibility that I could have put the RAM back on incorrectly, but I don't think I did. Is this IC the RAM driver? I'm not sure. I know that we have a RAM reading around it. So if I read here, like, what do I get here? 7.4K. I swear it was one of these. Was it this one? This is all over the place, this reading. 400 kilo ohms, then back down, then back up. Now it's in the mega ohms, 1.94, all the way back up. Is this resistor bad? Oh, there we go, 4250. So this is reading 50 ohms. And I'm sure this is connected. If I put the meter in continuity mode, and I put one probe here, and I'm going to put the other probe on the place where I just was. Yeah, we have a continuous path. It's the same rail, but this resistor is all over the place. What about if I measure the resistor? So it's meant to be a 2.2 ohm, I think, which is what it registers. Okay, it registers as 3 ohms, but obviously take my leads out and we should be fine. This is a 1 ohm resistor. What do we get here? Yeah, we get 1 ohm. Okay, here's that component on a donor board. I'm just going to see what measurements I get here. Well, that's reading 93K. 93K. What do I get here? 93K. What I will say is that didn't want to come off. Let's put that there. Take this resistor too. There we go. Okay, wait for the board to cool down and measure and go from there, I guess. Surprise, it didn't work. But I'm going to show you something that I might have discovered. I maybe should have done this as soon as I started looking at the PS5, but that was to inject 12 volts just to see what the boot sequence was like. For reference, this test is a good board. It should jump up to around about 300 milliamps or so. And then straight back down, which it does. Hangs for a couple of seconds and straight back down. Nice. Our board, however, watch. It boots up straight away to about 200 milliamps, hangs, and then eventually, any second now, drops back down. So it's not reaching full boot. I'm going to have to keep this board for a live stream. I feel like if we all put our heads together, we might be able to come up with something, but I've kind of hit my limit in terms of what it is that I know. The fact that someone's been inside this before has probably made me chase the wrong thing at times as well. But again, you live and you learn. I'm sure we'll be able to work something out. If not, we're just going to have to use it as another donor. But Sally is going to be so angry with me. But I will definitely save this one for a troubleshooting live stream. It will make a really good live stream. So make sure you subscribe for that. Let's head on over to Sally and see where we're at. Don't really need to work anything out, do we, if we're being honest? We have lost a total of £230 today, which now puts our total profit at minus £113.39. It's official. After a few weeks of dancing on the fence, we are now in the negative. Sorry, again, that wasn't able to fix it. It's nice to have challenging ones rather than ones where I just pick off a cap because it shorted it to ground. And it was real nice to get some like reballing experience with the RAM, and also nice to know that I've not made it worse, I think. I'll leave last week's video up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.